two on this side. Go ahead just a little bit more. Right there. Larry, you're on this side over here. You two switch, because then he'll follow. Mario, right back here.
Once again, good morning, and will everyone please remain standing and show the proper respect as we have that advance.
This morning, I have the honor of recognizing just a few of our local veterans. Unfortunately, I know none of them could be with us this morning. And I don't mean to single them out because of any extraordinary thing that they have done. After all, every veteran deserves to be recognized, and what veteran has not done extraordinary things? Here, time only allows for a few mentions. I do not have any award to pass out, no plaque, no simple certificate of recognition. I'm not here to necessarily acknowledge the extraordinary actions of these veterans, but to acknowledge their sense of duty, their professionalism, their sacrifice. I am simply here so that we as a community can acknowledge just some of the extraordinary people who are our neighbors, our friends, and our family. 1965, Vietnam. Dale Mooney, U.S. Army, was in security forces. His duties entailed protecting high-level military leaders, ensuring that they got to where they needed to be. He was always on the lookout for threats and adjusted his efforts according to those threats. It is ensured that his dedication allowed planners to concentrate on their duties, to make decisions that saved untold others. 1961 to 1967, a stateside deployment. Sergeant Norman Updahl, U.S. Army, spent much of his time in personnel services, coordinating the efforts to make sure that a military unit can run smoothly, ensuring that supplies and materials are moved to where they needed to be, and delivering communications to the highest level of military planners. A failure of his duties could cause undue chaos to many who depended on his efforts. His dedication and professionalism made sure that that did not happen. 1942 to 1945. On board the USS Wharton, the Pacific Ocean. Shipfitter First Class, Corny Elness, U.S. Navy. His responsibility was in all types of repair and maintenance of the ship. His dedication to his duties allowed for the ship and her crew to fulfill their mission, whether delivering supplies or replacement troops, or even evacuating wounded personnel. The USS Wharton and her crew's contribution to the war would not have been possible without the tireless efforts of Orny and all his shipmates. And again, I know they could not be with us here tonight. It's only a few of the extraordinary people that we have with us, and I am here to thank all of them, and a round of applause for each. Thank you.
Some of you may have looked up here and saw a white table here and kind of wondered the purpose of that white table. I'm going to explain it to you. Hopefully the next time you see it, it kind of sparks some of the significance of that table. It's called the Missing Man Table, also known as the Fallen Comrade Table. It is a semi-official place of honor in many dining facilities of the U.S. Armed Forces, and during many banquets and ceremonies that you will see for military. It serves to remind us of the fallen, missing in action, or prisoner of war military service members. The table serves as a focal point of many of our ceremonial remembrance, originally growing out of the U.S. concern of the Vietnam War POWs and MIAs. Ladies and gentlemen, the Missing Man Table. The chair is empty. They are not here. The small table is set for one, representing the frailty of one prisoner, alone against his or her oppressors. The table is usually set close to or within sight of the entrance to the dining room. The table is round, showing our everlasting, unending concern for our POWs and MIAs. The cloth is white, symbolizing the purity of the soldiers' intentions to respond to their country's call to arms. The single red rose signifying the blood that may have shed and sacrificed to ensure the freedom of our beloved United States of America. The rose is beautiful, but if you've ever felt the stem, it has thorns, the pain of war. The rose reminds us of the family and friends of our missing comrades who keep the faith while awaiting their return. The yellow ribbon around the candle stands for the yellow ribbon often worn on the lapels of thousands who demand with unyielding determination a proper accounting of our comrades who are not among us, who are missing or lost. A slice of lemon reminding us of the bitter fate of those missing, captured, and held as prisoners in foreign lands. A pinch of salt denoting the tears of our missing and their families who long for answers after possibly decades of uncertainty. The Holy Bible represents the strength gained through faith in our country, founded as one nation under God, to sustain those lost from our midst. The lighted candle reflects the glimmer of hope which lives in all of us, in our hearts, in hopes to illuminate their way home, away from their captors, to the open arms of a grateful nation. The glass is inverted, symbolizing their inability to share today's toast with all of us. Let us remember and never forget their sacrifices. May God forever watch over them and protect them and their families. Please join in a moment of silence in memory of those people. I would now like to turn the microphone over to Ron and Diane Fagen, who will introduce our distinguished guests.
Don McPherson from Adams, Nebraska, a little over 100 years old. Welcome, Don. And Don was a World War II Navy ace, and he'll tell you about what it means to be a Navy ace. And he has incredible stories. And technology and me don't get along. Don flew off the Essex during World War II in the South Pacific, and he's an incredible pilot, incredible, wonderful citizen of this country, and he did incredible things. And afterwards, after the program's over, feel free to walk over to the fighter hangar next door, and you'll see this very large, big, beautiful World War II fighter, Hellcat, called Death and Destruction. That's the airplane that Don flew off in the South Pacific, off the Essex, and took the war to the Japanese. So he'll tell you about his stories. And Diane, did you have a couple comments there?
No, I just too want to welcome Don and he brought 2 family members with him today, and we welcome them. Don's part of the family here. He's been here a number of times. And we're always thrilled when he's here. This is a great opportunity for the Yellow Medicine East High School and Middle School to hear from a war hero. Also, I wanted to say that we do have Don's book. He wrote a book just lately, and it's been published. It's called An American Patriot, and we do have it in our gift store. Don, I think, would personalize that book later on if people would like that. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you. Over the years, our country has established several national days of remembrance of our military personnel, such as Armed Forces Day, Memorial Day, which is sometimes called Independence Day, and of course Veterans Day. In 1921, an unknown World War I American soldier was buried in Arlington National Cemetery near Washington, D.C. This day of remembrance took place on November the 11th, giving recognition to the ending of the fighting in World War I, which occurred at 11 a.m. November the 11th, 1918. Many of you have heard it referred to as the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. The day became known as Armistice Day officially in but in 1947, a World War II veteran organized a celebration and a parade in Alabama, calling it Veterans Day to honor all veterans. Later in 1954, Congress passed a bill officially proclaiming November 11th as Veterans Day, and this day seems to have been well accepted, as it is meant to honor all the veterans of all the branches of the service, all of who wore the military uniform of the United States and served honorably. In my years of service in World War II, we saw a tremendous amount of young men rushing to volunteer to join the branches of the military service, and in doing so, it became obvious how important it was for each person to perform their tasks to the very best of their ability. Plus, the support that would be needed with each other and the cooperation between the branches of service. As a pilot, we soon learned the importance of teamwork, and leadership was a must in order to be successful, for success to be possible. That extended to landing and takeoff operations. The deck crews that helped landing and doing those takeoffs were all important. We needed to trust our landing signal officers and the other personnel. So every single veteran is a very valuable part of the conflict. My combat experience came about very quickly. I was taken to Ulithi Harbor, which is in the Carolina Islands, and I joined with Air Group 83 there, and eventually the next day we went aboard the U.S. Essex aircraft carrier. I still was just a loner, because I had not been with any of them before and had never flown with any of them before. And so after a day or so, then I was assigned to a division of Hellcat pilots. Speed then that I could see tracers crossing in front of me, so they were shooting ahead of me. But an engine putting that way isn't all that serious because your propeller is still turning, and so that's cranking the engine. All you need to do is get gas speed. I grabbed the auxiliary fuel pump and pumped gas to it, and when that big old 2,000 horsepower engine caught fire and took hold, the surge pulled me back into those anti-aircraft and things. So I did go home that day with a hole in my airplane. A little bit later then, we had been covering and attacking various targets on the island of Okinawa, and our next situation was then to cover the landing. And most of the fighter pilots then that morning were carrying napalm bombs, which is a firebomb, and so we scorched the beach ahead of the landing craft. During those months, we were out there for 6 months. Sometimes the fighter pilots were asked to be a part of an operation with our infantry and our Marines as they battled in the hills and the mountains of the region. On several occasions when the advancement of our troops was in a real critical situation, we would be asked to come in over in a diving attack and fire rockets into areas that our forces had surrounded. Also, at times we would have radio direction from what was called a forward air controller, or sometimes they called them bird dog. This usually was an Air Force pilot flying low over the terrain, and he would have targets for us. One day when we reported into him on our radio, he said, well, today I've got a grass hut that I don't like the looks of, and said, put a few rounds of ammunition into that. So we started it, and it turned out it was a ammunition storing shed, so boy, it looked like a 4th of July celebration. Another time he asked us to put a rocket into a large haystack, and it was an oil and fuel storage dump. So this is an example of we the Army and the Air Force, cooperating in war. Of course, there's many other examples of teamwork among the Navy task force. Speed then that I could see tracers crossing in front of me, so they were shooting ahead of me. But an engine putting that way isn't all that serious because your propeller is still turning, and so that's cranking the engine. All you need to do is get gas speed. I grabbed the auxiliary fuel pump and pumped gas to it, and when that big old 2,000 horsepower engine caught fire and took hold, the surge pulled me back into those anti-aircraft and things. So I did go home that day with a hole in my airplane. A little bit later then, we had been covering and attacking various targets on the island of Okinawa, and our next situation was then to cover the landing. And most of the fighter pilots then that morning were carrying napalm bombs, which is a firebomb, and so we scorched the beach ahead of the landing craft. During those months, we were out there for 6 months. Sometimes the fighter pilots were asked to be a part of an operation with our infantry and our Marines as they battled in the hills and the mountains of the region. On several occasions when the advancement of our troops was in a real critical situation, we would be asked to come in over in a diving attack and fire rockets into areas that our forces had surrounded. Also, at times we would have radio direction from what was called a forward air controller, or sometimes they called them bird dog. This usually was an Air Force pilot flying low over the terrain, and he would have targets for us. One day when we reported into him on a radio, he said, well, today I've got a grass hut that I don't like the looks of, and said, put a few rounds of ammunition into that. So we started it, and it turned out it was a ammunition storing shed, so boy, it looked like a 4th of July celebration. Another time he asked us to put a rocket into a large haystack, and it was an oil and fuel storage dump. So this is an example of we the Army and the Air Force, cooperating in war. Of course, there's many other examples of teamwork among the Navy task force they had just in the ocean. And this particular pilot, his last name was Kundi, and they were attacking Naval Air Base on the northern end of Honshu, which is near, had a small bay there, and he had to land in the water, and so he got, it was late, and so he swam ashore and stayed in a wooded area that night. Well, during the night, there were train tracks that ran along close to that area, and that night the train stopped and a batch of soldiers started getting out, and he thought that they probably were hunting for him. But if they were, they didn't find him, and so the next day the Navy had sent 2 Kingfisher float planes with a fighter escort up to see if they could rescue him, and so he swam out of the ways, and one of the pilots with the Kingfisher landed and taxied his post as he thought he dared to, and he stood up in the cockpit to throw a rope, the Navy calls that a line, to him to help pull him aboard, and when he went to throw the rope, he lost his balance and fell out of the cockpit. And in doing so, he accidentally kicked the throttle, so here goes this plane taxiing across the bay, and so they had 2 pilots in the water. So it was a good thing that they had sent 2 float planes, because that one landed and picked up both pilots and got them safely back. Well, my experiences in the Navy Air Corps in most cases are not much different than many of the others that at the different branches of our military organizations. In any of the wars in the history of our country, it has taken a huge number of servicemen and women to defend our freedom. There were the veterans that kept our planes, tanks, jeeps, and ships in running order, and those at home that did an excellent job of training recruits, our flight instructors, and many others. It took all of us to defend our freedom. So this is the day set to remember them all for their dedication and their sacrifices. Before I end my visit with you, though, I would like to share a concern that I have. Over the years, through my involvement with the VSW and the American Legion, I've learned that many veterans, including myself, did not share their experiences with their family when they first came home. Probably because they wanted to leave all of that behind them, or maybe in some cases, maybe thinking that it was not all that important. Therefore, many of our family members and loved ones knew practically nothing about the veteran's military life in his later years. If that applies to any of you veterans here, please consider visiting with your loved ones about these years of service and sacrifice. They need to know so that they can celebrate you and your service to this great country. Thank you for being here to honor our veterans.
The story will die with the person, right? I agree 100%. And one other comment, I hope I live to 100, and I hope I can be as sharp as you at 100 years of age. So the choir is all set up. The choir will be singing Song for Unsung Hero under the direction of Mr. K. Davidson. Post VFW Commander Matt Martin to the podium.
Good morning. Like it was announced, District 3 and VFW Post 3871 Commander Matt Martin. But first of all, I have a pin from our state commander, Department of Minnesota. I'd like to present to Don here first. I also like to thank the FFA for helping out today, the band, the choir, the high school for putting on this program, our Boy Scouts, our Legion from Hanley Falls, Echo, Granite Falls, the VFW from Granite Falls. But before I have a little bit to say, but I'd like to also thank Ron and Diane, Aaron and Evan for all the stuff they do for the veterans. The VFW motto is, no one does more for veterans, but look at this place here, what Ron and Diane, Aaron and Evan have done for us. Let's give them a round of applause. My focus as commander for this year now is trying to get our membership. Memberships are what gets our programs for veterans. The VA systems, the programs that for the GI Bill, it's our veterans that are continuing to serve in our VFWs, Legions, DAVs, Sons of the American Legion, Legion Riders, VFW Riders, VFW Cooties, the auxiliary. We're all one family. And that we could see that today with my color guard presenting the colors. We had Boy Scouts, we had Legion members, we had current members serving. Veterans, from current veterans to past veterans. It was great to see us coming in with the diversity. We are one family. And I'd like to thank you guys for all the work that we've done together. Thank you.
Today's activities surround how do we honor our veterans? How do we best pay them the respect that they so greatly deserve? One of the things that we have done, or was done before my time here, is what's called roll call. Now, we're going to do the best we can. If I miss anybody, my apologies. Please stand up at the end. I hope I don't butcher any names, but I'll do the best I can. When I call your name, please stand. So our veterans are in attendance today. Don McPherson, U.S. Navy. Dan Barber, Army National Guard. Mike Barker, please stand. U.S. Navy. Warden Tritz, U.S. Marines. Matt Martin, U.S. Army. Charles Border, U.S. Navy. Evan Sneller, U.S. Army. Dennis Peterson, United States Marines. Dwayne Roiger, Army National Guard. Jay Peterson, U.S. Army. Larry Meyer, U.S. Army. Larry Peterson, U.S. Army. Ron Coyle, U.S. Navy. John Halling, U.S. Army. John Tostenson, U.S. Marines. Kurt Soini, U.S. Navy. Dorian Gatchell, Air Force. Mark Roiger, Army. Dustin Lee, Army. Gail Peterson, Air Force. Barrett Egerbrand, Army National Guard. George Slutadall, Air Force. Francis Staub, Army National Guard. Lloyd Harold, Army. Scott Bjorndal, Navy. Verling Kling, Navy. James Barber, Army National Guard. And Merlin Smith, Army. If I missed anyone, please stand at this time. Let's recognize our veterans, please. Thank you, veterans. You may be seated.
an important purpose. We are here to commemorate and thank the people who often go unthanked in the course of daily life. We are here to honor them and to reflect on how our lives are made possible by the choices and sacrifices of others. Many people regard Veterans Day as little more than another bank holiday, but in reality, it is a moment to reflect on our freedom as a nation. It is a celebration of hard-working Americans taking care of each other. It is a picture of our larger country in which young as well as old, regardless of gender, ethnicity, or religion, come together in order to fight for the values that unite us as Americans and that we all hold in high esteem. We are here today to honor our veterans, the men and women who wrote a blank check to America that could amount to their life. That is the most dedicated expression of patriotism there is. On this day, we can take a moment to examine the American flag as the ultimate symbol of our ideals. Since 1776, Old Glory has represented the freedom we, as a country, possess. It is a sign of the struggle for independence. The red stripes on the flag commemorate the hardiness and valor displayed by all who have built and defended our nation. It is the ability to endure when giving up is not an option, and to remain courageous when fear can overwhelm. The white bars represent the purity and innocence of those our soldiers have fought to keep safe. It is to those people, to us, they have pledged their incorruptible loyalty and have remained steadfast in that pledge. Lastly, our spirit of vigilance, perseverance, as well as justice are represented by the blue. Our servicemen and women are always ready to respond to threats and to protect our nation that is governed by ideals of righteousness and equity. These are the qualities shown by our veterans. They demonstrate traits that not everyone can possess. Whether it be a part of their nature or a decision they made to uphold and defend our freedoms, they are heroes. Veterans advance the definition of respect. They promote the hard work it takes to make a change, to be bigger than oneself. Honoring our flag, our country, our history, and our soldiers is what this day is for. In taking this day to learn and remember how we got to where we are, how those courageous people led us here, we create unity. The freedom they have earned for us is the portal to better lives and a better future for all. Citizens of the United States have the privilege of being served by the finest men and women in the world. We cannot take for granted all of the people who have made such sacrifices for us. In conclusion, on this special day, make time to thank a veteran. Honor them in any way you have the ability to. Show them their courage made a difference. Express how their service has affected you. Gratitude goes a long way, and actions speak louder than words. Follow their example to better yourself, adopt their inspirational characteristics, aspire to be like them. As said by Elmer Davis, this nation will remain the land of the free only so long as it is the home of the brave.
Hero, valor, and bravery aren't just empty words and meanings. Sacrifices don't just occur on the battlefield. These terms exist right here in our hometowns and communities, demonstrated by people we might not expect. Heroes have always emerged from average citizens when our nation has needed them the most. From the Minutemen who repelled the first attacks at Lexington and Concord, to the disciplined army that fought and won our independence at the Battle of Yorktown, to the men and women serving in our armed forces across the world today. Their service is significant. Few things are more daunting than volunteering oneself for the welfare and defense of their nation, not knowing what upholding that vow may cost them. Veterans uphold our most important values of honor and courage. These men and women report for duty and risk their lives so that we can continue to live in freedom. The loyalty in their hearts is what allows everyday life as we know it to continue. These are people that I think I stand for and the people I look up to. These veterans fought for Old Glory and to defend our liberty. What they have endured shows their selflessness and ability to put their country before themselves. They did their job, and because of them, we have our independence. But what makes veterans truly special is that they may come from any walk of life and can be anyone around us. They might be a father who brings his child to the bus stop every morning. They might be a child's loving grandmother or grandfather. They might be the sibling of a proud brother or sister. There are many reasons why veterans choose to join the military, and it is not easy to know who those people are at first glance. Veterans live lives just like everyone else, and often they miss out on experiences we take for granted. Many of them have missed the births of their children, anniversaries, graduations, birthday parties, or funerals during their service. Many reported for duty never to return home. The decision to serve changes lives in ways that we wouldn't expect. It is only a soldier and their family who pay the highest price for peace and protection. We appreciate this holiday because it allows us to give thanks to the men and women who served and sacrificed for our country. Veterans have kept our nation safe, and because of them, we are free. We celebrate, honor, and respect these heroes for all that they have done for their country. To those who serve now or have served in the past, we thank you wholeheartedly for your service. It is because of you that my classmates and I can choose our paths and pursue our dreams. Thank you for your care and dedication to preserving the United States as a land of opportunity and the home of the brave.
Thank you again for your attendance at today's